like I said, the what you put out is what you're gonna get back. The spaces that you what's it called? The spaces that you find yourself in, that's part of the expectation you're setting. So yeah, it starts with the at the beginning of the relationship because like we said, you set the expectation of, with your actions, with everything when you start the relationship. But the other expectation that you should be setting at the beginning of a relationship is, what not just what ways that you want to be treated, but what ways that, like Phil said, how you are going to treat the other person. That includes things like listening to the other person, taking their feelings into account, taking their wants into account, taking their needs into account. All of that sort of stuff. You set that bar when you step into the relationship. The way you step into the relationship. One thing that we say all the time is you get back what you put out into the world, right? So if you're putting out into the world at the beginning of a relationship, hey, I'm a caring person, I will listen to your needs, all of that sort of stuff. You set that expectation. So if you switch up when, after you've been dating for a couple months, years, however long, then, of course, their behavior is going to start changing as well. Whoever you're with, like if you're a man and you show up in a relationship where it's, flowers every time you see her,
Hmm.
you're going to the most fancy restaurants all the time and everything like that. You've set that bar, and that's the expectation moving forward. Now if you go in and you say, hey, I wanted to do something special for our first date, but this isn't normally what I do, then cool,
Hmm.
lay that out.
Hmm.
Be real about it, because you don't want to put yourself into a position of, hey, this is normal every day for me, if it's not normal every day for you.
Hmm.
Because then you start doing things where you're acting above your means, and you can actually do stuff like that, and you shouldn't be doing stuff like that.
Hmm.
Don't play yourself in these situations. But that also goes back to, having standards for how you expect to be treated when you are going into any situation, you know
Hmm. Hmm.
and the other part of it is, what's it called? You Like I said, what you put out is what you're gonna get back. The spaces that you what's it called? The spaces that you find yourself in, that's part of the expectation you're setting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, the point that Phil made, like, oh, if you look for look for a woman in a bookstore or a grocery store or whatever the case may be, like, that whole idea is fine. It's like, just recognize that the certain spaces attract certain people, right?
Yeah.
Now, mind you, there are people who, oh, it's my birthday, so I went out to the club today. Cool, by all means, do your thing.
Yeah. That's certain
I'm not
circumstances. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not trying to take away from anybody who does enjoy spending time at the club or whatever the case may be. But just know
Uh,
what you are getting when you go
uh,
there. I know you
uh,
disagree, and that's
are
fine.
you sure? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Are you sure about that?
That's why I'm saying, know what you are getting when you go there. Most people who are at the club are there for fun. They are not there
Correct.
for a significant relationship.
So what do you tell the people who are there on a week to week basis? You got to talk to them too, because we're here to
People who
talk to
are
them
the,
too.
people who are there what I have to say doesn't change. Like, if
Okay.
you are there for, like, unless you are having an actual conversation with the person you meet at the club and
Mhm.
saying, hey, this is what I'm looking for right now, and they are down with that, then you're not going to find what you're looking for. Because most
Well, you
people,
could get lucky. You
you
could.
could get lucky, but if
Yeah.
you are you trying to live your life based on luck, or are you trying to live your life based on guaranteed results?
Well, the lottery is luck.
And nobody, I mean, if you want to do that, by all means. If you want to
I'm
play the
just joking
lotto
with you,
every,
man.
exactly.
I'm being sarcastic with
I
you,
know,
man.
but we got to
Because
talk to people who
I
really think
know, man.
like
Because
that.
when I do that, that makes you rant even louder.
No, but we got to talk to people who actually think like that, because
Oh, I agree.
there are people who think like that. Like,
But
yo,
I do
live by the
think
dice.
you should talk to the people that are in the club every week.
Exactly. And my point remains the same though. Like,
Okay.
yo, know what you are getting when you are in that club. Like,
Mm,
if I go to the club tonight, it's a Friday night,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
know people are out there. Either it's the weekend, they just got off work and they need to unwind, or they are in there literally every weekend and this is just how they spend time, or they're young and they're in college. I
Mhm.
know that's what I'm getting when I
So
go
there's
into the club.
certain passes you give.
I know I'm expecting a certain demographic when I walk
Mhm.
into the club.
Meaning you shouldn't be 37 in a 25 or older club. It's looking for a 25-year-old. Is that what you say?
You shouldn't be 37 looking for a 25-year-old regardless. Like,
You be surprised.
I, I know it happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I am talking to those people specifically right now. Do better. Like,
Oh man, I love it. I love it.
we started this conversation talking about you need to grow up. And if you are
Yeah,
37
yeah.
looking for a 25-year-old, I'm talking to you dead in your ears. Grow up. You 37-year-old looking for somebody straight out of college talking about what's popping. Nah, go somewhere with that. Go somewhere with that. You a
Yeah,
grown person looking for
yeah.
a young thing. Nah, don't do cat daddy looking for somebody. Go somewhere. Retire with your stupid behind. Like, nah, that's not what it is. That part of extended adolescence, we can dead that immediately. That needs to die. But that's part of the point I'm making though. Like, you might find that cat daddy sitting at the club talking about what's good with your girl. Nah, bruh. Nah, we ain't.
Yeah,
Aim to be better than that. Aim for more than that.
yeah. Do
Have
your
higher
decision
standards for
process.
yourself.
Yeah.
That's not. I mean, some of y'all talking about, oh, we just keeping it play around here, bruh. You 37 years old. Ain't no more play. You
Yeah.
37, what you do now has consequences. You should be saving for retirement talking about, oh, we keeping it player.
I haven't heard that term. Maybe that's 45 when they're saying that.
I mean, I'm talking to all the older people, and I've got an old soul. I know that,
Yeah.
I'm an old head at heart, but
Yeah.
anybody, the second you hit 30 years old, if you are still looking for college women, something wrong.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
And I understand, people mature at different rates and everything like that. There are, take everything on a case by case basis, all of that sort of stuff. But if the lion's share of what you are looking for in your 30s is somebody who just started drinking, you might need to re-examine your priorities. You might need to do better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about men, I'm talking about women too.
And these are coming from people who have made some bad decisions.
Oh, all
All,
day.
all day. All day. I've made some bad decisions. She
We've
has.
all done it. We've all made stupid decisions.
Matter of fact, this podcast is birthed from bad decisions.
I mean, hey, this might not be the wisest decision. We don't know.
Well, this is probably the best decision we ever had because who else would listen to us talk about these topics? No,
I don't know.
nobody. Because you want to know why? No one talks. No, we as men don't talk.
I mean, but like you said, keeping it real with everybody listening right now, everybody who chooses to listen.
Yeah,
If this hits your ears or if it doesn't, at least it's out there.
yeah,
You set the standard for how you are going to be treated. You
yeah.
should set that standard. Now, if anybody else with the standard disrespects the standard you have set, that is on them. You are not responsible for that.
Not only that, it's your choice to the fact that you can walk away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, you can walk away, but at the same time, I understand people who are in difficult positions. People who, I got kids with this person, I've got a business with this person, yada yada
But that
yada.
you wait a minute. You having a child with the person, or you having a business relationship with this person, that other person should understand and recognize this. What's that stake? You're a parent. You're a business owner. It's just certain ways you should conduct yourself.
Yes,
And
I
if you feel
understand
like,
that. I
and if you feel like within reason, because they're unrealistic standards, and
understand.
you feel like you're being disrespected, you always have a choice.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not, I've said the same thing. I'm not disagreeing on that point, but I
Okay.
do understand that it can be slightly like people have their different circumstances. Like, for
I think
instance,
that, I think that's a sense of just taking it.
but again, that goes back to the standards that you set for yourself. Like, there are certain things that people are willing to accept because of a given situation.
So, are you willing to accept disrespect?
No, 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 no.
So,
I'm not saying you should accept it. I am
okay.
saying I understand it can be difficult.
And I understand that too, but I think for our viewers, we should give them a measure of like, look, you got a choice too.
Yeah, you always have a choice. Even if somebody tries to make you feel like you don't, you always have the choice.
Hmm.
It might be scary, it might be uncomfortable, but the choice is always yours. You
Yeah,
know, like, again, this doesn't, I'm not talking about people who are in, like, stuff where your life is literally in danger. I understand that's difficult. I understand. I'm not trying to downplay that at all. But
hmm,
at the end of the day, you have the choice to get out. You have the
yeah,
choice to
yeah,
leave. You have the choice to do better for yourself. And that starts with setting standards for yourself.
yeah.
Like, nobody's going to do better for you. Yes, there are kind people out there. I'm not saying, there aren't kind people out there, but at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility for the life you want. You have to, because nobody's going to bring it to you.
So, when's a good time in a person's life of experience? Do you feel like it's a good time to set standards from the beginning? Moment
Well,
you get out of college?
I think I think our ability to set standards begins in childhood. Like,
Yep, yep,
it
yep.
begins
I
with
agree.
how you're raised and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
and sometimes our environment sets the standard. Yeah, yeah,
exactly. I
yeah,
I recognize that, but I think, especially when you start living independently and you start
yeah.
trying to grow into the person you believe that you should be, that
Hmm.
is exactly when you should start examining the standards you have for yourself,
Hmm.
re-examining the standards you have for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, and the fact that we we're not saying that all standards are like Bible, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
written to the fact that what your standards are, what you written down, or however you kind of keep that in your thoughts and your mindset. That's the Bible. No, we're
Yeah.
saying that from experience, you're going to come with trial and error with those standards.
Yeah.
But if you feel very important by those standards, and it comes to a point where you feel disrespected, or you feel like not even I wouldn't even say disrespected, because I feel like that's a word that's kind of like it can be a little harsh, but to a point where it's not even being considered,
Yeah.
then
People are inconsiderate of your feelings, of
correct.
your opinions, all of that sort of stuff.
You have a choice.
Hmm.
You have a choice.
Now,
So
take that with all of the caveats that you would normally take it with. What if it's on my job and all of that sort of stuff? Yes, there are risks involved in every decision you make. We
correct,
understand and
correct.
recognize
Yeah.
that.
Well, we're speaking in strictly relationships here.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
you know.
So, you know, what's your take on what would be a certain type of choice, for you if someone feels they're not considering your standards or considering, your feelings? What's a breaking point for you to say, okay, I'm out? Because a breaking point for me would be if you, by your actions,
Yeah,
by the way you're treating me, by if it's a sense of coldness or there's a sense of you just don't care,
yeah. Um,
you know?
I mean, of course, there's the normal one, infidelity. That's an immediate I'm out.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
an immediate line for me. Which is part of the reason why I tend to be so harsh about it when I hear that people have cheated on other
You
people.
should be. You should
You
be.
know, yeah. I mean,
because
especially,
because that's something that should be a standard to the point where it's like uh instead of coming I think that's an excuse, it's a cop out.
yeah,
You couldn't come out and talk to me how you feel this issue, or you didn't want to be here anymore, or give me the opportunity to at least work things out with you, so you you step out of the relationship.
yeah. I mean, but I also, that this might be a conversation for another day.
Uh-huh.
But there are people who their standards on like monogamy and all of that sort of stuff are different. I understand that and I accept that.
How different could it? Well, okay, I understand. That could be another topic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess
I mean,
there's it's cut and dry. It's either you're faithful or you're not.
no, I'm not talking about that specific standard. I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
about there are people who, like, for instance, they are in polyamorous relationships or they're
Oh
in,
well.
yeah,
I mean,
that's a
yeah. I mean,
different thing. That's a
yeah.
different,
That's starting to be popular. In this era.
yeah, yeah. But
That's starting to be popular, and I'm trying to figure out why. And I guess that'll be a conversation for a different topic.
yeah, I think
Why are those type of situations popular?
yeah, that might be something we need to bring someone who's actually in a legitimate polyamorous relationship.
Yeah, and
But
I would love to. I have a lot of questions when it comes to that.
yeah, I mean, that might be something we need to bring a couple people on for because I have
We
questions.
we, we need a full out panel.
Yeah, that might be, it could be interesting.
Yeah,
But that those standards might be different, but
yeah.
at the same time, like for instance, that's one that is widely recognized as this is a line that you don't break.
Mhm.
Yet and still we often expect people, mostly women, to deal with the fact that we're unfaithful and just keep going along with it,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's something that I like. For me specifically, that's like a nah, bruh, you ain't finna. If you are unfaithful to me and we haven't had a discussion about, oh, let's try dating other people or anything like that, then you might as well go on somewhere because I'm not with it. I'm out.
But so that's something that should be something you should say up front.
Yeah, that is like
Yeah.
that's a discussion that needs to be had up front,
We as men, we don't have those conversations. We don't talk about that. Like, if you don't like to be cheated on, then you need to say up front, like, look, I don't accept cheating. Point blank.
And at the same time, if you don't accept cheating, don't then turn around and do it to the other person.
Correct. Correct.
I mean, so we're talking about standards right now. let's transition this into something called double standards, which we got a
Uh-oh.
huge I have a huge problem with.
Uh-oh. Tell them how you feel, man. Tell them how you
Because
feel.
I am sick and tired of people saying like, "Oh, this is how it is. This is how it should be." But
Yes.
the second that situation applies to them, then all of a sudden, oh, it's different. It's
Yeah.
got to be. Nah, go on somewhere,
Like
B.
those standards don't apply to them, to the other person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are not special.
Yeah.
You are not. Now, if you've had that discussion and it's like, hey, we can do this, but for me, this is how I want to do it. You go on and do what you want to do. This is how I'm going to play the game. If you've had that discussion,
Yeah.
by all means, but
But
don't
but
sit
but but
there.
after that point, all bets are off. You can't. It's very difficult to go back to the like. I don't want you doing this or doing that because you've
But
opened
even
up
at
Pandora's
that point,
box.
but even at that point, if you care about that other person, you should
Uh,
be willing to show them the respect, the courtesy to, oh, this makes you uncomfortable. Okay, we can figure out how to correct this specific situation. Like that's
Conversations don't happen like that. It is
you
sad.
I understand they don't happen. I'm saying that's what needs to happen.
Oh yeah. So how do you break that? How do you break that communication? How do you break that?
The first thing, it starts with how you start the conversation. Like, don't come from a place of, and this is the person who's bringing up their concern and the person who is hearing that concern. This is
Mhm.
for both people.
Okay.
Don't show up to the conversation with weapons drawn.
Yeah.
Like, show up to the conversation, talk, like, if something bothers you, yo, be like, hey, like, I understand this is the discussion we have previously, but in this specific situation, I was uncomfortable. This made me feel this type of way. And talk about how you feel. Don't worry
Yeah.
about what the other person feeling, because you don't know what the other person feeling until they tell you. You can suspect, you can guesstimate, but you don't know exactly what they're feeling until they tell you.
Yeah. Yep.
So show up and bring your concerns. And if you are the person hearing the concern, listen to their concerns and try to address those specific concerns. Don't
Mhm.
then turn the conversation into, well, it was all good just a week ago. We ain't talking about a week ago. We talking about right now in this
Yeah.
situation, in this specific moment. I was uncomfortable. Address that. And then we can also address how things should be moving forward. But don't worry about a week ago. The week passed. It's good. The week done.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you going to do right now about this current situation?
Yeah.
And don't bring in all of the other stuff from outside. If you're having a discussion, have a discussion about what you are concerned about. Now, if there are larger concerns that specific issue speaks to, then yeah, you can fold those into the conversation. But be mad at what you are mad at in the moment. Not, and I understand anger is a whole different thing. When you've lost your temper, control is very difficult when you've lost your temper and all of that sort of
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But that is also part of the reason why, the Lord created these two things called legs, for you to walk away from a conversation that you are not trying to have.
Yeah.
If person keeps following you, get your behind in a car, take a bus, take a train, get yourself somewhere where you can get your mind right. Because there are too many times when we try to force a conversation that doesn't need to happen when we are both heated. There are definitely times when uncomfortable conversations need to happen. I'm not debating that fact.
Mhm.
But most of the time, and this is something I found through my own research, my own exposure to things like counseling and stuff like that. The way you enter a conversation is how you are going to leave the conversation, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
if you start a conversation trying to fight, you are going to leave that conversation bloody.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Somebody's got to come in on a balanced level on a fact that one person is open
I mean,
to.
and I'm sorry, finish your point and then I'll come in.
No, I'm just saying somebody's got to come in to a point where you're ready to kind of just work things out instead of coming, in an anger tone.
Yeah, very like some, and I recognize that, when there are disagreements, when there are problems, generally speaking, we feel attacked, or we immediately jump into a defensive posture, hands up, weapons out. Yo, you were throwing smoke, I'm about to throw some smoke too. I'm about to strike below the belt, whatever the case may be. All of that sort of stuff. I understand that it's
Mhm.
difficult, but we talking about this whole conversation started with the extended adolescence of men. If you
Yeah.
want to be grown, one thing you have to do when you are grown: control your emotions.
Yeah.
And if you controlling your emotions involves you stepping away for a little bit, by all means, step away. Be like, yo, I understand we need to have this conversation, but I'm not in the space to talk to you right now in a constructive way. Say that out loud. And if they don't respect it at that point, that's you at least put the effort forward to try and have a constructive conversation, or try and make sure that when you do have the conversation, it's constructive, and nobody can be mad at you for that.
Yeah.
But the second you come in and you start talking about, oh, you did this, you did that, it's like, no, don't tell me what I did. Like, you can tell me if what I did made you feel a certain way, that's cool. And I will address that specifically. I will listen to that specifically. And this is me talking from person to person. Like, but the second I come into a conversation and tell somebody, oh, well, if you weren't, like, don't worry about what the other person is doing. In this situation, address yourself, address your reaction, because that is ultimately all you can do in any situation.
Yeah.
All you
Yeah.
can control in any situation is your reaction. And this is the last point I'll make.
Okay.
The all you can control in any situation is your reaction, but at the same time, like, I recognize that we all come to situations with baggage and everything like that. You In controlling your reaction, part of controlling your reaction is like we said, the standards you set for yourself, because because if you have standards for yourself,
Hmm.
then you already know what your reaction is going to be. Like, if I enter a situation, and like I said, like infidelity, for instance, like, oh, I know infidelity is a thick line in the sand for me. The
Yeah.
second you cheat on me, it's a wrap. So if I walk into a situation and somebody cheats on me, it's like, okay, bet,
Or or
I know what it is.
this is also something that's never talked about. If you walk into a situation where cheating is what we call a breaking point for you, and you're dating someone that has a behavior of cheating, oh man, uh, that to me is just a sign of just what are you going to do? How are you going to react? How are you going to feel like you're going to be in a conversation with somebody who has made it known that him or her has cheated before? That's also I think that's an unspoken kind of discussion also.
Yeah, I mean, but that it all goes back to, having that respect and love for yourself, though. because
Some people are willing to look over that to
no,
kind of
I'm not. Yo, I understand that happens, and
yeah.
I'm, like there's a difference between like, oh, somebody cheated and we are working through it. Like that is the decision that every person gets to make. I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about me personally. Because
Okay.
everybody has their own situation. I'm sure there are people all over the world who it's like, oh, cheating isn't my line in the sand, but they are willing to work through it for a number of reasons. I know that happens, and
Mhm.
I'm not disagreeing with that specifically. Like your choice is your choice, whatever the case may be. But if you if you love yourself, then the second you get into, and everybody's situation is different, all the caveats, yada yada yada. But if you love and respect yourself and you get into that situation, your response isn't going to be, let's work through it. Like, especially if your standard has been broken, your response isn't going to be, let's work through it. Your response is going to be, my standard was compromised, I'm out.
Yep.
Because your standard is your standard. And
Yep.
this goes back to me saying, like, your what's it called, your standard. Goes back to what you said, where it was like, yo, your standards are trial and error. We recognize that. But the what's it called, the second somebody breaks that standard, and then you show them that they can get away with that without consequences, then there is no incentive for them to then continue to respect any of your standards moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So, bottom line is, fellas, and talking to you also, ladies,
Do better.
make better decisions. Be aware and get to know that significant other you with, or dating, or friendship. Get to know people a little better.
Yeah.
You know, I won't say overanalyze, but pay a little bit more attention to,
Yeah, it's a balancing act.
yeah, pay a little bit more attention to how people are treating other people, how they treat you, some of the things they're saying.
I never thought I would ever say this one day in my life, but Steve Harvey was right. Some of y'all are probably looking at me crazy right now because I just said that, but in what's it called? In Think Like a Man,
Mhm.
there is a I'm talking about the movie because I didn't read the book. I didn't care to read the book. There is a line in the movie where apparently Steve Harvey says, "Oh, women create like 90-day rule. Set the rule in place when you start dating a dude that you are not going to sleep with him before 90 days have passed."
Mhm.
And all the dudes, of course, were like, "Oh, that's wild. Why you going? How Steve Harvey gonna play us?" All of that sort of stuff. But and I was one of those people. But in setting that 90 days, you are setting a standard. You have drawn a line in the stand, like, yo, hey, unless you make known that I should keep you around for more than 90 days, you ain't getting nothing. You have set that standard, you have drawn that line, and you have held that person, as long as you maintain that, you have held that person accountable to you for at least that 90 days, right?
Yep.
And that's why I say Steve Harvey was right. Steve, his wording might be wrong, the way the messenger might be wrong, but the message is correct. Set a standard,
Yeah.
and respect it yourself. Because if you don't respect it, ain't nobody gonna respect it.
That's true. Well, uh, you know, I think that concludes episode 14, part 2. We try to appreciate all our listeners and fans that have been with us on this journey. It's been a great journey, and going to continue this journey,
Yep, more
whether
to come.
whether you like it or not.
We gonna be
But
here.
we're gonna be here every Sunday and Wednesday. But it looks like we got some new things coming down the pipeline, so
Yeah,
we'll give you a little things here and there.
yeah.
So make sure you guys follow our Instagram at Let's Rap _, our Twitter Let's Rap 2, and our YouTube
YouTube
Let's
at
Rap.
Let's Rap.
And really can't wait to be able to bring more and more content to you guys like we've been doing, and continue on this journey.
Yep.
I'm your host.
And
Go ahead.
before we finish, just not an open call, because we don't want to get nobody crazy, but just to call out to everybody who people in women who want to come on the show and have their opinions be heard,
Oh yeah.
people in different relationship statuses, all of that sort of stuff. We started this situation so that we could have conversations, but we don't want these conversations to be one-sided. So
Correct.
share with us if you want to discuss certain topics. Make it known. We're open, we're listening. Just share.
Well, all right, y'all, and look forward to this again. And peace out, y'all.
Take it easy.